Today we are going to dive into some absolutely mind-blowing stats about the Kitchener-Waterloo real estate market. I will be also sharing my candid thoughts on what's really happening out there. Plus, we'll break down the recent federal government announcement that's supposedly going to help first-time homebuyers. And finally, we will wrap things up with what we can expect for the rest of this year heading into the Q1 of 2025. Trust me, this one is going to be packed with value, so stick around and let's get right into it. And just in case if this is your first time to the channel and you're wondering who am I, my name is Dharmik Dixit and I am a local real estate agent serving Kitchener, Waterloo and surrounding areas. I've helped many families just like yours relocate in and around KWC and I absolutely love it. So whether you're thinking of moving in 9 days or 9 months, be sure to reach out. You can call me, text me, email me, or even schedule a Zoom call. All the info is right below in the description. I'll be more than happy to help you and family make a smooth move in and around KWC. All right, so let's get into the numbers right away because they are pretty wild if you ask me. First up, we have sales to new listings ratio. This fancy term is just a way to measure how much demand there is versus the supply in the market. In July, we were sitting at around 46%, and in August, it did go up to 55%. What it means is that for roughly 5 new buyers that came into the market, we had 10 new sellers or new listings that came out for the same period of time. Now, if you are wondering what that means and how this ratio is actually interpreted, here's a breakdown. Between 40 to 60%, things are pretty balanced, and over 60%, it is considered a seller's market where sellers start calling the shots. So we are right now in the balance zone here in Waterloo region, but we have seen more buyers come out in the past month of August, which pushed that ratio up from 46 to 55% month over month. Now, we will keep a close eye at this ratio in the coming months to see which direction the market is actually heading. It'll be very interesting. Now, let's also take a closer look at the inventory. We have got about 3 months worth of supply in the Waterloo market, which means if no new listings were to come in, whatever is there is in the market, it will still take about 3 months for it to get sold. There were around 1,600 active listings in August, which is up 49% from last year. Meanwhile, only 539 homes actually sold in the same month. So yeah, there is a lot of choice out there right now. In case you do want to dive deeper into this market report, I have shared below the link in the description, so feel free to check out the entire report. Now let's talk about the interest rates and the broader economy. We have had 3 consecutive rate cuts from the Bank of Canada. But guess what? That has not really lit the fire under the buyers. Why? Well, the economy is a bit of a mess, to be honest. We have got record immigration, 1.2 million people over the past 2 years. So the GDP data actually shows that we are in fact the only country in the G7 that is actually growing. But if you do peel back the layers, you will see that the real GDP has been negative for the last 6 consecutive quarters. Yeah, 6 quarters of negative GDP growth. And if you do look around more closely, I mean, we are seeing more layoffs, job losses, contract workers in IT and various fields not getting renewals, all that stuff. So it's no surprise that people are in fact holding off on buying big ticket items like homes or cars. And that is why we have not really seen the demand pick up despite 3 consecutive rate cuts by the Bank of Canada. In fact, the Bank of Canada will continue to cut the rates even more so in the coming months because they're getting concerned about the economy slowing down with softer consumer demand and the slower job growth. In fact, there was a report that recently came out that projected that major banks are now forecasting the rates to come down even more aggressively to be in the 3% territory by next spring to summer. We also saw the US Federal Reserve that began finally the rate cut cycle by slashing their rates by 50 basis points. And guess what? They are just getting started. Now let's talk about that recent announcement from our finance minister. And I've got to say it, this move feels like a bit of a desperation to fuel things up. They are making it seem like this is going to help first-time homebuyers, but honestly, it might just make things worse for them in the long run. And let me explain to you why I think so. Here's the breakdown. Let's say you are a first-time homebuyer, pre-approved for $600,000 mortgage on a 25-year term. Your payment is going to be about $3,300 a month, assuming 4.5% rate of interest. Now, with this new 30-year option as of December 15, that payment might drop to around $3,000. Sounds great, right? But you know what? Here's what's going to happen. Buyers are going to tell the lender, hey, I'm okay to pay $3,300 a month, so let's instead up that mortgage from $600 to $650 so I can buy something bigger and better. And guess what? We are pushing the prices up again. This is just making things worse in the long run with this what I call band-aid solutions and not really fixing the root problem by actually building more homes. And about that CMHC limit that's now increased to $1.5 million. It's like they want people to take on more debt than what they can handle. I mean, buying $1 million house with less than 20% down, that's a sure way you're asking for trouble. The mortgage insurance cost and the interest costs alone are going to be insane. Besides, you will need a household income well over $200,000 to be able to afford that kind of a mortgage. And let's say you manage to secure a mortgage. What about the fact that it will cost you still around $7,000 to $8,000 every single month in mortgage payment alone? So I'm not sure who they are really trying to help here with this one. Now, there is one argument to that limit increase I can support is, let's say for example, someone buying $1 million house without a finished basement where there is something for 1.1, which is a legal duplex, and let's say a 1 or 2 bedroom basement that can be rented right away. Well, in that case, it might make sense for someone to go even still pay slightly less than 20% because they have a cash flow coming in right as they take the possession of the house. But in all the other scenarios, it honestly may not make sense for a buyer to pay less than 20% down on a house over $1 million, and that's just my candid take on it. All right, here is the $1 million question. Is now a good time to buy? Well, it really depends on what. If you are financially solid and planning to stick around with the place for long term, say at least 3 to 5 years, then yeah, it might be a good time. We saw there are a lot of great options for buyers these days. But don't fall for the FOMO. Trying to time the market is like catching a falling knife. It's risky as hell and there's no crystal ball to it. So just make sure you're ready, you have a plan in place, and that it makes sense for your situation. Just please don't jump in just because everyone else is. So what's next for the market? I think we are going to stay in this low market for the rest of this year and early 2025 because of the weak demand, low consumer confidence. Those are the two major factors. But I feel like come next spring, things might get very interesting. By then, we will probably see rates at a more reasonable level around that 3.5, and that's going to improve the affordability and mortgage eligibility for many buyers who are currently on the sideline because they just can't qualify for the mortgage. Plus, with the first-time homebuyers being allowed up to 30 years amortization, I feel like that's going to play in the market as well. And in theory, it's making things easier on their wallet, but in reality, I do feel like it will just add fuel to the fire. If you got some value out of this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and tap that bell so YouTube knows I'm doing somewhat good job here. And whether you are thinking of moving in 9 days or 9 months, feel free to reach out. All my contact information is right below. I would be more than happy to help you and family relocate in and around Kitchener-Waterloo. Until next time, well, I do hope to show you around town.